You've had a couple of days to process it. What are your thoughts now?
Yeah,
About the McCarthy situation.
You know what? You're right. You actually do need a couple of days to process what happened. This is a historic moment. There was a moment that shouldn't have happened. This is not a direction we needed to go. And of course, it happens that night. You're in a bit of shock of what's next, and so many things are changing. Not only does the vote happen to oust McCarthy, but then also he declares that he's not running for the seat again. So quite a bit to process that night. Next morning we get up to come home, and those things just hit you, on the flight back. And listen, we don't like what happened. I don't agree with the direction of that. I don't agree with the vote to do this. I think it was a big mistake for 8 Republicans to side with all the Democrats to get rid of the speaker, that 97% of the majority of the and the Republicans that we supported. So that was wrong. Nevertheless, we're here, and now we have to see what is next.
Some people say, why aren't you still in Washington to get this figured out? What was the logic behind giving you like a week off, basically?
Well, some reasons were technical and on the rules, and some was just a good move to let emotions settle. When this happened, and we went into the conference room with the Republican side, and then McCarthy announced that he wasn't going to run anymore, emotions were high. And that wasn't the moment to go vote on the new speaker. I mean, the new speaker candidates hadn't even been declared yet or selected. It had been an hour since the vote had happened against McCarthy. So there does need to be some time to just mentally process that and make sure that we're in the right headspace to take the next move. But also, all progress halts in Congress right now. There's nothing that can go on. There's a Speaker pro tem that his only role is to make sure that he oversees the election of the new speaker, and that's Patrick McHenry. So it's his job to do that, and there needs to be a couple of days to be able to set up the next move. So that was the reason. And listen, anytime that I can come home and actually listen to the people here and reconnect, I'll take it, because we could be in Washington sitting around waiting for things to move when they don't. There's been a lot of that recently. And I think that's why people are so tired of Washington, and why I've seen firsthand how broken it is, because you're there and very little progress happens a lot of times.
You had just had Speaker McCarthy here back in the late winter.
Yeah.
He was here down in Cochise County. I was there with you. You obviously respected him and wanted him to remain Speaker. It must be a little bit of a blow to you of getting things done because you were close with him.
Well, we saw the result that we were having. Yes, we developed a close relationship, which was beneficial and good for our district as well, to get the right attention and make sure that the Speaker knew exactly what was happening here in our district. He was keeping track of the whole country, but we definitely had a seat at the table. And when you look at what we actually accomplished, passing 10 out of the 12 appropriation bills, 4 of them making it to the floor. With those 4 bills that passed in the appropriations process, issue by issue, over 70% of the discretionary funding on the appropriation side actually got passed. So the majority of the work was done. We had just passed a 45-day government extension of the funding to get the rest done. We were on track to do all this. This was unnecessary, and it's a blow, yes, to people, but this is beyond individuals or the institution itself. This completely halts the progress that we were making.
So what's your thoughts about another or the next speaker? Is it a Steve Scalise? Is it someone like that you're gonna throw your support behind?
Well, there's Steve Scalise that is currently the majority leader, and then you have Jim Jordan, that is the chairman of the Oversight and the Judiciary Committee. So we have solid options here, and we're gonna work on this over the weekend. The candidates have to give their remarks in the forum on Tuesday, and then we start voting on Wednesday. Now, if Scalise does get the majority of the votes as Speaker, that opens up other seats as well, because when he moves up to Speaker, then other seats open up. So we're potentially looking at several races here, which is why I think next week is going to be focused on this, and we have to get back to business immediately.
And that was my next question. Do you have enough time then to get that settled and then get on to what you have to get done before the 45-day clock?
That's a great question. And we have 8 more bills to get through on the appropriations side. We were able to get 3 done in 1 week at the end of September, right at the time crunch. So we've had progress with this before. We're wasting, between when this first happened to when I think this will be done, between 7 and 10 days. At least. And that will be a chunk of the 45-day extension that we got on this. So we're going to have about 30 days to get it done. It's going to be tight. It's going to be tight, but we have to work overtime on that.
Are you getting the sense that people are frustrated with Congress in general?
100%. And I agree. And I completely am right there with him on this. Washington is completely broken, Pat. I mean, there's no question about it. You can make progress in one end, and the politics or the long history of just personal vendettas with people kick in, the bureaucracy and you name it, that's all there. And I've said that everything that I expected when I got there is more of that. The good is better, the people that want to do good, the relationships, but the bad is also worse in terms of the politics and the willingness of people to bring everything down just to get their own will through. So there's a lot of work to do on this. That's the environment there. We have to change it, and we have to fight for the values here. That's why I'm so focused on always being home and always being reminded what the people here are thinking. Dropping kids off at school like I did this morning, talking to parents, seeing what's on their mind. These are people that are going to work every day. They don't live in the Washington bubble, and this is what I need to be hearing from. I had a meeting with a few veterans this morning as well, and these are, and also border community elected officials. These are all meetings that help me just, again, become more informed and get a great sense of what people are feeling here.
Real quick, can you fix what's broken in Washington? Not necessarily maybe you as an individual, but perhaps the next speaker and you working with the next speaker. I
believe in the fabric of our country. I believe in the American dream. I believe in what our country represents. It's not perfect, but I'd rather be here than anywhere else in the world. I'd rather have our problems than any other problems around the world and be here fixing them. I am one of 435 members of the United States House of Representatives. That's a huge honor and a huge responsibility as well. I take it seriously. I will do everything that I can to lead by example of what my district wants. You know our district well. It's not dominated by any one party or any one ideology. We're an independent-minded district where good ideas win. And that's what I want to bring to Washington. And that's what we've been doing for 9 months. And we're going to continue to do that.
Continuing problem is the border, and you said you spoke with some officials this morning about the border. You've been there many times. What's going to have to happen? I mean, when is it going to change? Because clearly, since the last time we've talked, it's only gotten worse.
It's only gotten worse. The numbers are getting worse. Everything's trending in the wrong direction. Now we're looking at about 11,000 apprehensions a week. These used to be, just 3-month, 4-month numbers, if that. And now they're being condensed down to a week, 3,000 a day sometimes. This is not going in the right direction. It's increasing. And from what we hear, the activity in Latin America, more groups are coming, and there is no control on the border on this. So what has to change is not only resources. I'm all for putting more resources on the border, more resources for our local communities so that they're carrying the burden of the migrants being in the communities. Street releases happening now, over 400 yesterday, one day alone. So again, over 1,000 a week for sure that are being just released into our community with nowhere to go. So this is not getting any better, and the Biden administration still has not taken the issue with the seriousness that it deserves and do something about this. They have the authority and the power to stop this immediately, and they've decided not to.
Real quick, that the Mayorkas announcing they're going to build a 20-mile border wall down in South Texas goes contradictory to what the president and his spokespeople are saying about. He still says no border wall, yet it looks like they're building a border wall.
Well, I think it's the right move, and I hope they go through with it. They've made promises before to our friends in Yuma that they had no intention to following up on because they never even moved the needle on that. So they've made these promises before. I want to see some action before I give them any credit for that. But that is just one step. Even if they do follow up with that, which I think would definitely help, that doesn't solve the problem. The wall alone doesn't solve it. More agents alone doesn't solve it. More technology alone doesn't solve it. It's the policy that needs to be implemented, and we need to free up the authority of our border agents that they can go and implement the law, and then the processing needs to happen quicker, and we need to determine within a week if people's asylum claims are legitimate or not. If they are, then they can go through the process. If they're not, they need to be returned. That's what was happening before, and that's why we didn't see this kind of crisis. Now people are being allowed to stay for years before their court date to appear. That's an incentive to come that is a wide open invitation to say it's worth the risk, because if you make it, you're going to be in. That's a message that the Biden administration has been sending to the whole world.
Yeah. Finally, what does it say that you've got a lot of Democratic mayors and Democratic governors in the Northeast especially, now suddenly the border is an issue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the border is an issue. I've been saying for a long time that every state has become a border state, both because of the fentanyl crisis, but also now because of the flow of migrants. Now you have mayor of New York City, the governor of New York State, saying that they can't take any more people. And the numbers that they're taking are a fraction of the numbers that Texas and Arizona are seeing. Especially here in the Tucson sector, we're seeing a tremendous amount of traffic. Now, here in this district, in our hometown, in our home state, the agreement between Republican and Democrat mayors has been happening for years now. This has not been a partisan issue for us since the get-go. And even more so today was proven that we have mayors that are Democrats and Republicans concerned about the same thing. And we've been concerned. New York is just catching up right now, and they get more attention because of the size of New York. But when you look at where the money went for help on this, over $100 million going up to New York and less than 27 million coming to Arizona. That is very questionable. Senator Sinema wrote a stern letter on that. I supported that as well, and I made my own phone calls because that's not where the money should be going. It's right here on the border where they need to be investing.
All right, perfect. Let's leave it at that.
Great, thank you so much.